The following is rated TV MALSV. It contains strong language, violence, and nudity. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome everyone to episode 2 of Too Many Chefs. I am your host, Devious Dave Rose, and I thank you for joining me today on Tuesday, November 24th, 2020. I'd like to, as always, recognize those that have decided to spend their time with me today and are present there in the chat. Let's start off by saying hello to It's the Costanza, to my partner in crime, the Nicky Nines channel, Nicky Nines himself, Irish Dave, and Joey Cora, and anyone else who might be listening right now. So, today's episode will be discussing a favorite American tradition, and that is Thanksgiving dinner. And as you know, here on Too Many Chefs, hence the name, we are always open to take calls at any point in the show. So you can call up now, you can call up later, you can not call at all and just listen. Either way, I think you might be in for a treat. So we're going to be discussing some Thanksgiving dinner and all the trimmings, as the saying goes. Now, before we proceed, can I just have somebody in the chat let me know if everything is sounding good with the audio? Just been doing a little tweaking here and there, and I just want to... I did take notice that a few people last episode were telling me that the sound audio always comes in okay and nice and strong and loud for music, but when it comes to my voice that I seem muted, or at least not as high, and I have maxed out the microphone, so I'm hoping that things are sounding a little bit better. Regardless, let's talk about Thanksgiving dinner. Now, this is obviously something that is a very big staple in American culture, and we see that basically from the festivals that form around it, as well as the holidays that essentially are attached to it. Black Friday is unfortunately one of those things where you get to see a very, very ugly side of humanity. And it literally is the day after everyone is supposed to be giving thanks and being grateful for having food and being with family. The whole story of Thanksgiving has been told countless times. I don't believe that I need to really go into detail. Now, when it comes to addressing Marxists and their delusions and hate for the Western world, and I do try not to be political here, but they're claiming that Thanksgiving was always a colonialist festival, and that by celebrating it, it's just celebrating the genocide of the Native Americans. And that is delusion in the highest level. So if you have to deal with one of these college indoctrinated individuals during your Thanksgiving dinner with your family, be quick to shut it down and remind them that 'tis the season and that they should be showing some gratitude. But if they wish to talk politics, you can destroy them with facts. Let's go back to the chat here quickly. We have Joey Core says this already has more episodes than Warm Lettuce. That is true, and that is one thing in regards to cooking is that warm lettuce is always bad lettuce. You could never, I mean, what are you going to do with warm lettuce? It's wilted, it's warm, it's just, I mean, consider the opposite. Crisp, cold lettuce, wow, that can make a salad, like just unify everything that you've added. That could make a sandwich. Oof. And if you're gonna go keto or some other special type of diet, you can in fact use that for a wrap, which is quite good. I mean, I've had sort of like a tuna salad, for example, tuna salad sandwich in a leaf of lettuce, and that works great. I mean, I love lettuce personally, but I'm getting distracted. Chad is in the chat, and he says, I have to brine my turkey tonight when I get done with work. It keeps turkey so moist. Now, that's actually something that I wanted to get into about brining. Brining is so important when it comes to meat because it's an equalizer. It actually can do so much more, and it's so little effort, especially with what's involved. Literally, it's just water and salt, and you can add other things. Coincidentally, speaking of brining, before I started this show, put 3 pork chops into a brine that I made. They're going to be marinating there until later on this evening, and I'm trying something a little bit different this time with my brine. But once you start to learn about brining meats, it really is an equalizer. It changes the game. It changes the game and provides, certain meats that may have been very stiff, very, tough into something that just falls apart in your mouth. And when it comes to turkey, I'm not experienced with brining turkey, but I do know of several people that do that. Obviously, Chad as well. And I know that it is a big deal when it comes to making turkey. The whole culture is of turkey making in America for Thanksgiving is something of competition, clearly. And each person seems to have their own way to make a turkey. I've seen that some people make deep fried turkey. I've seen that some people use the beer can cooking method, neither of which I've ever tried. I believe that I saw Foulmouth Ken actually show a video to me of a turkey being fully fried, as they do, and well, it saves a lot of time and cooks it definitely a lot quicker. But turkeys are definitely not small fowl. They're not small birds. They're quite large, and because of all that added meat, it literally becomes a day-long endeavor, or potentially more days, because a proper brining would require at minimum several hours, if not at least a day. And that helps break down muscle tissue. It helps infuse the meat itself with the flavors of the brine. And that's where you can actually shine when it comes to customizing your brine to have certain flavors. Like, for example, my brine has water. It's a very simple brine. Well, actually, no, it's not simple because I added a few extra. I'm changing it up today just to do something different. But basically, it's water base, obviously. It's salt. And I added peppercorns, bunch of peppercorns, bunch of capers, and separate brines that I had of both some pickles and some hot peppers. So I've mixed that together, and what I'm hoping to accomplish with this is to give it a slight sort of spicy, infused flavor, especially now with the winter coming on. You need a little bit of that extra spice to keep going and to stay warm. It's a very useful strategy to use spice, whether it be chili peppers or habaneros, jalapenos. So little strategies like that, when it comes to your food, definitely help out. But my traditional pork brine is literally just water, salt, peppercorns, and that's the base. The capers, I decided to, like, sometimes I add them in just because it does add a different sort of flavor to it. But I mean, a basic brine literally is just salt, water, and that's it. So apparently, it's the Costanza prefers the dark meat. I'm not too much of a fan of the dark meat personally. I do love nice white breasts in more ways than one. But regardless, meat, you know, tastes good from a turkey. Cooked properly, meat tastes really good. And as long as it's juicy, because nobody wants a dried out bird, but a nice juicy bird doesn't even necessarily require gravy. But as we all know, gravy on turkey, damn good. Now, brown gravies, more suited towards turkey, but I'm not excluding the possibility that some people might make a white gravy and include that. But I find that seems to be more common with people from the south of America and seems to fit much more, at least with fried type foods, whether it be chicken fried steak or breaded chicken, like you would see, in the south. So, the brown gravy seems to go very well and is a main staple when it comes to the Thanksgiving table. Gravy always just goes great with just about everything, and it is literally considered one of the most important staples of Thanksgiving meals. Oh, we've got OMD in the chat there. Welcome, OMD. And as I said, our Skype lines are open. After all, Too Many Chefs always welcomes calls throughout the show. And we're more than more than interested actually in curing either a special recipe that you have for Thanksgiving. Perhaps you have plans for this Thanksgiving and you're actually running the show and preparing the food. Perhaps you want to regale us with a tale of perhaps some food that you've had some time in the past and why it was so good. So, yeah, I'd love to hear from you in regards to your experiences with Thanksgiving. But the turkey obviously is the main staple of Thanksgiving. It is the more traditional meat that is eaten. But that's not to say that, for example, ham, spiraled ham even, isn't perhaps either the main course or featured alongside a turkey. People, especially due to Thanksgiving and it being a gathering of family, do go not overboard, but essentially they do construct a nice feast. And it, I believe, is quite appropriate considering that this is a celebration that is bringing family together and you want to have a great experience and provide a nice plethora of different foods to enjoy during your experience gathering with family. Because I don't believe it's just a day to eat. And quite honestly, I do believe that on Thanksgiving as well as Christmas, people really should not be concerned about the calories that they're going to consume, although they will be excessive if you go full out sloth and just try to eat everything and consume whatever's out there. But small portions and taking your time throughout a meal, you shouldn't really worry about the weight that you may gain, because obviously there'll be opportunities to lose that weight as well. And this is, again, an opportunity to be with family and enjoy a good meal and just recognize the more important things in life. And I think especially this year, that's going to be extremely evident to people both on American Thanksgiving and on Christmas. With all the bullshit that has gone on during 2020 and with the strife that's happening around the world, this is a specific time to recognize how good you have it. And Thanksgiving is definitely one of those times where you can share with your family an experience that shows appreciation for each other and for just having what you have in this world, to show gratitude. So back to the chat here quickly. We've got Danny Piffin. He says, I'm switching it up this year and just having steak and potato. Well, hey, whatever floats your boat. Hello to Steve Callan, who just showed up. Now, let's talk about sides, because the side dishes also make up a big portion of Thanksgiving dinner. Now, this image that I'm showing right now is labeled as the more popular dishes during Thanksgiving in America. So basically, if you take a look at this image, you'll see that the number in the upper right-hand corner of each image shows the percentage of U.S. adults that have chosen that as one of the more popular or favorite dishes. So starting from the upper left, we have stuffing, or what some people call dressing. Now, that's a debate in its own, because that is a very contentious issue, as other issues that will come up when it comes to naming and protocols. But 53% of U.S. adults have chosen that as their primary favorite, followed by 51% who chose mashed potatoes. And definitely mashed potatoes are just such a staple when it comes to Thanksgiving, and a great complement to all the different foods that are normally featured in a traditional American Thanksgiving. Then with 31%, you have sweet potatoes and yams, usually baked up like that in a sort of pie or casserole. And I've seen very often, now this is something I've never experienced, but I've seen very often that sweet potato pie or casserole is covered with marshmallows and cooked that way. Now, I've never experienced that before. It seems quite different, strange, but apparently it's been a staple of Thanksgiving for quite some time, and it's popular in certain areas. And I mean, there's clearly some merit there if it's become such a staple of Thanksgiving. And shout out to Clam Baked. How are you doing today, my jogger? Moving on, we've got cranberry sauce, and that's 24% of Americans. And that actually looks more like chili, but okay, let's call that cranberry sauce. I actually like it. I very much like having that contrast in flavors, and basically taking, a little bit of cranberry sauce and, grabbing a little bit of turkey and eating it like that. That sweet aspect to it really complements the turkey, just like the salty component of the gravy also complements the turkey. It's a versatile meat, just like pork. Pork tastes great with gravy on it, but it also tastes great with applesauce. So it's, again, one of these versatile meats that goes very well together, and the complements, like these side dishes, usually reflect that. Now, following that is 23% with bread rolls. Fresh, fresh baked bread, nothing beats it. Yeah, bread's not the best for you. Yeah, I know. And, if we limit our intake, we can be, healthy and so forth. But like I said, on, a few days around the year, I don't believe that indulging is that big of a deal. Unless you're suffering from diabetes or you're hip to it, and you are looking at some serious health issues, then maybe you want to consider having a total vegan Thanksgiving or fasting perhaps. But Regardless, for those who are in mostly good shape, Thanksgiving should not be a time where that should be worried about. Continuing on, we've got the green bean casserole at 20%. And I don't believe I've ever tried one of these before, although I've heard many people talk about it. And I mean, I love green beans personally, so I'll eat them steamed, I'll eat them baked. Actually, it tastes really good baked when they're crispy. You can sort of make them like salted snacks. Really good stuff. Continuing on, we've got mac and cheese at 19%. Now, with my experience up here in Canada during our Thanksgiving in October, that's not a big deal. Like, as in, that's not something that would be featured normally for a meal for Thanksgiving. And that could have something to do with the fact that, you know, mac and cheese, or what we refer to as craft dinner, is it's a staple of living on the poor. And also, you know, when you're a student, it's one of those affordable foods that, you know, I don't know, if you got a bunch of kids and you got to keep them all, you know, under control and stuff, you make the mac and cheese, and it's one of those meals that just seems to satisfy. And it just seems to be much more commonplace in Canada as a regular sort of meal than something that is specifically featured as a highlight for Thanksgiving. Then at 12%, we have corn, and I love corn personally. This goes back to the fact that Thanksgiving is an autumn equinox celebration, and obviously in preparation for the winter, much of the food that was recently harvested was consumed as well. So that's where the corn comes in. And I love corn. I just love corn. There's so many different ways. And yeah, I mean, for me, you can have it any time. Thanksgiving's great to have it with as its Christmas dinner, but to me, it's any time for corn. And then lastly, at 8%, not surprising for Americans, is salad. A green salad. Not a salad of potato chips and pretzels and candies and stuff. An actual salad. But yeah, I mean, I love salad, especially a nice fresh salad. And whether it be leafy, whether it be, you know, cucumbers, even chickpea salad. There's so many different ways that you can complement your meals with a side salad. And it's healthy, and it's not overwhelming your system with an excess of nutrients that you just had. So definitely something that should be much higher up on the list, but I'm not surprised considering this is, again, Americans that were tallied here. So yeah, that's one of the many things that is just so great about Thanksgiving, is that the sides are, I wouldn't say excessive, but they are plentiful and varied, and definitely is something that just provides a nice combination when it comes to food. I mean, to me, there's nothing better than going to it could be a Christmas party, Thanksgiving party, whatever, and finding a nice just layout of food. And the look of it, the combination of foods that you can choose from, it's just great. It also goes back to the great memories I had as a kid for these celebrations and such. So yeah, it's just another reminder of some good times, and just times of what would appear either plentiful or at least of success, I guess. But let's move on and talk about desserts. But before we do, let me just quickly go back to the chat, see if Somebody has added something. So Nicky Nines, his mom does the candied yams with the marshmallows. Very interesting. I'm definitely up for trying that out at some point in the future. Clam Bake says, salad has no place on my plate during Thanksgiving. Well, okay. I mean, I'm not going to judge you on that alone, but it should not be excluded for Thanksgiving dinner, okay? Just like that strange family member, that's a little weird. They shouldn't be necessarily excluded from Thanksgiving. Oh, shout out to Pro V69 who's in the chat. Be sure to check him out on Twitch. He is now a Twitch boy, and he likes to play the video games. He says, who doesn't love a nice tossed salad? Thank you for that. Clam Bake continues. He says, the sides are the best part. I could do without turkey, lasagna, and some sides. I'm good. I'm not a big fan about lasagna, although I've had some good ones in my day. But yeah, some people might say sides are some of the best part. Because you can pick of so many and literally fill yourself up on all of them and not even have to hit up the bird. So that is, something I know other people believe as well and enjoy when it comes to Thanksgiving. Just the plethora of all the different sides, and I personally love the variety. It's not like every meal is made of potatoes or rice. It's a nice variety, a good balance, and yeah, a good selection. But let's talk about dessert. Dessert also seems to be a very big deal when it comes to Thanksgiving. And as we see on this image, for example, we have a beautiful spread of all these different pies. Now, I was actually thinking of making myself a chocolate custard pie in the coming days. But I may also make myself an apple pie. And I don't know, I'm feeling the urge to make pie. And I've also been speaking to another accomplished chef, Nicky Nines himself, who is very experienced also with making pies. And he was letting me know that he may be making a lemon meringue pie. And I believe there was something else that he mentioned he might make in pie form. But the more traditional pie that is common in Thanksgiving is the pumpkin pie. I love pumpkin pie. It's got a nice, sweet, but yet spicy flavor to it. And its consistency is just delicious, and I'm liable to eat an entire pie on my own. And then when you include proper whipped cream, as I was talking about the other day, crème chantilly, and I'll eventually teach everyone how to make that. But it's so light, but it's natural ingredients, and it just fits perfectly. It's not this heavy hydrogenated oil feeling that you get from either that crap in the can or the Cool Whip. It's so much better, and it's so easy to make. Literally, whipping cream, from the carton, and powdered sugar, and that's it. I'll get you guys the exact measurements, and I'll try to make a video of it too so that you can see how quick it is to make. But my God, it is just the perfect complement to pumpkin pie. Now, it'll go with just about anything else, but it fits so perfectly with pumpkin pie. Pecan pie seems to be very popular as well for Thanksgiving, as is either strawberry or strawberry rhubarb pie. And with the strawberry and strawberry rhubarb, again, those are fruits that are essentially harvested prior to winter coming on, and as such are incorporated in many of these meals, so they can be consumed, and the harvest can be utilized as efficiently as possible. This is also a time where many people are actually jarring or jamming, pickling, all different sorts of things in preparation for the winter, and obviously as a cause of the recent harvest, where you have an excess of all this material that needs to be either consumed or somehow preserved for the coming months. And considering the current situation in the world, it's never a bad idea to have some sort of stock of emergency food supplies. And it's also a very good idea to get into canning and jarring and learn. It's very easy to do so. There's a lot of videos out there on the internet. And you can even take, for example, if you peel a bunch of vegetables, you don't necessarily have to throw away those peels. You can boil them, and you can extract the liquids from there to utilize either as a stock or a condensed sort of bouillon. So there's a lot that you can do with what's available, and as history does show us that this was a time where the transition into winter was quite harsh, and it required people to prepare themselves and prepare their food to be ready for it. So let's just see here if we've got somebody else in the chat. No, that's just Clam Bake there. And yeah, as I said earlier, feel free to give me a call. We've got open Skype lines here. Let us know what you either enjoy about Thanksgiving, any particular meals that you enjoy, or any recipes that you might have that you'd like to share with other people. That's something else that I like to do, is to share recipes. And I would like to share your recipes with others as well. So if you guys ever want to perhaps... Oh, we've got a call coming in. Welcome, Messy Steve. Thank you for calling Too Many Chefs.
Pibe.
All right, let's be respectful and speak English here.
Oh, my bad. How you doing there, bro?
I'm doing great today. How are you?
I'm pretty good. You're making me pretty hungry, if I might say so myself. I am currently leaving work, and I think it's the proper time to get hungry. So,
well, a nice little after-work meal. Never a bad thing.
Never. When you're in a rush, that's one thing I kind of hate about being an adult. When you're in a rush, you know, you have to get things done at times. Not most of the time. Sometimes you have leftovers you could just heat up. But sometimes when you're in a rush, you have to, like, get fast foods. And I think that's, I don't know, that's probably an American thing. But certainly something that I'm not too much of a fan of. But if there's time, I'll always cook, you know?
Well, it's a convenience
foods
factor.
Can't be compared. Yeah, exactly.
But
Exactly.
The problem is that it is ripe for abuse. So instead of actually making the effort, like certain people, they actually say, well, it's just easier for me to order food or to just buy this packaged garbage. And
I mean, it's hard.
no,
It's
it's
hard.
not hard. That's the thing, though. It's not hard. It just takes effort, and it takes willingness, because a head of lettuce, is what, 50 cents, $1 a piece?
I mean, no, there's no doubt about that. No, as far as buying food, I mean, thank God, you know, I eso no me refiero. I'm not referring to that, but like when you're in a rush, like you're just out of work,
No,
and you're like,
okay, I
fuck,
can
man,
understand that at this point, say you don't have any food, you're out of work, you're starving, you know, you can't even see straight because you're so starving. Okay, that's understandable. It's a convenience. It's something that you need because your body's asking for some sort of supplement. But it's not like you necessarily have to go to McDonald's to get yourself a Big Mac. You could go to a sandwich shop and buy yourself something that's lighter and healthier. You can, You know, you can literally just go into a grocery store and buy yourself a stalk of celery and just eat that if you wanted to. So there are options available if you're
Yeah.
hungry.
Yeah.
It's just
You're right,
whether or
you're
not
right,
you're willing to make
you're
the
right.
effort.
Yes, that's true. That
And
is
that's the
very
problem
true.
is that when someone is presented with that opportunity, like say for example, you're presented with the opportunity. I'm in my truck already. I could literally drive through and take 3 minutes in this drive through and get something that, yeah, it's not going to make me feel great in 20 minutes, but at least it'll satisfy my hunger. Or I can spend the next 20 minutes walking the aisles of the grocery store, picking out a few little things here and there, which I could literally, with my pocket knife, make a sandwich in my car and still have an excess of a whole loaf of bread and a bunch of meats and all these vegetables. Like, literally for the same amount that you pay for, like, say, you know, a combo. You know, like, what do you get combos there that are, say, $10? $10 for a combo?
About, yeah, like
Okay, so let's
9-ish,
okay,
10.
let's go with 10 just to go like be round. So with that
Yeah.
same amount of money, oh, you'd have food for days, or multiple meals because a loaf of
Yes.
bread, is what, 169,
$1.99?
$2, maybe for a premium
Yeah.
one like 250. Okay,
Yes.
you buy yourself some meats, in $5 at most, and you got enough to make like
Yes.
probably 3-4 sandwiches that are fucking stuffed. One tomato
Yes.
if you want. One tomato. You're gonna come back with change.
You're right. You're right. You're completely right. You're completely right.
So I mean, and you know the funny thing is that if you do go to fast food restaurants and you do collect the little packets of sauce and stuff, keep them in your truck or car or whatever, and whenever you need them, you can add them to any food like this, and you've got some, it's not a totally dry sandwich. You don't necessarily have to buy a whole jar of mayonnaise and keep it in your vehicle, but if you want a quick meal and stuff, you can buy these packets, or you can just get them for free when you have gone through a drive-through. But I've seen these mayonnaise packets that are literally 99 cents a piece, and it's enough for maybe a sandwich or two. You don't have to buy a whole fucking container.
Yeah. I guess, like you said, just putting the effort and the will.
Exactly.
Really do
That's the only thing, because it's convenient, but if you can save so much money by not going the drive-through route, because I've met people and I've seen people do exactly that, where they're on their lunch break, they go to their local grocery store and they buy themselves a loaf of bread, some meats, some sort of sauce or something for the sandwich maybe, and some vegetables. It could be like tomato and mayonnaise, or tomato and lettuce, or maybe some peppers, I don't know. And they literally just put the sandwich together in their car, and they've got now food not only for their lunch break but for when they're right off work.
Yeah. I mean, man, it's just the temptation. I guess you just have to leave it to the side and just really overcome it,
It's the dopamine fix as well, because that's a problem with the fast food, is that they add all these additives that actually play with their physiology. So whether it be the excessive amount of sodium, salt, or flavoratives, essentially they do create a sort of a state in the mind where they need a dopamine fix that comes from that. You could make yourself, like, say, a chicken sandwich at home, breaded, and it'll be better than Popeyes. But if if your brain has been sort of infected by, that whole idea that Popeyes has a better chicken sandwich because it's just convenient and it's, then you're not going to see that,
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. And the fucking fries, to me, the biggest temptation I have are fries.
And it's also been noted, and it's been studied psychologically, is that humans have this tendency to actually like food that was made for them as opposed to food they make themselves that they eat.
I mean, that could be true, because when
true.
I do cook, when I cook, is like I'm already full. I don't even have to eat sometimes. But I enjoy cooking for others. But now when there's food served for me, it's like, oh, it's different. I don't know. I get that. Damn.
No,
Shit.
it's true. It's been noted in several studies that humans, again, for some reason, I guess they just enjoy to cook for others. But if they make a sandwich for somebody else, that person who's receiving the sandwich will think that it tastes better than one that they make themselves and that they eat.
Damn.
But that's another thing though that probably does feed into the fact that humans do love to cook for others, because it's beyond like the knowledge of you knowing that you fed somebody. It's the joy that they get from trying something that you did that, again, you're not telling them, I added, an eighth of salt to this mix, and this particular, no, you're watching the culmination of all those different ingredients that you don't have to name to them, combine as a feeling that they express, when they eat.
Yeah. Yeah. And I must say, as we're speaking right now, my mouth is salivating.
Well, it should.
I am becoming very, very hungry. Do you ever get hangry?
Yes.
I hate that, man. Especially with when you're working, bro, and it's like the most smallest shit just pisses you off, and on top of that, you're already, type moody.
Yeah.
And now something comes up, is like, fucking piece of shit.
To be honest, I can get hangry, but the thing is, though, I'm once you're conscious of it, you can control yourself.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes a lot of the times people don't realize that they're hungry, so they don't realize why they're irritable, and they're like, oh shit, I haven't had breakfast or lunch.
I mean, my fat ass eats a lot, bro. I eat a lot. I eat too much.
Well, if you do a little
Not like I
salsa and
used to,
merengue, you'll be able to work off the weight.
No, I actually miss dancing, man. After the clubs have been closed for a minute now, and something I miss. I enjoyed a lot. But besides that, Thanksgiving is coming, and for us over here, Thanksgiving has already passed.
Yeah, that's why this stream is called Thanksgiving Dinner.
Do you think people still celebrate it over there? Is it a holiday still over there?
Over where?
In Canada, let's say
we celebrated it last month. Thanks for keeping up.
No, I know, but let's say there's a section of Americans, right? Is it like amongst them? Do they not work that day? Let's say like a Jewish community amongst them, they'll celebrate it and have the day off. Or not?
I wouldn't know. There's not that many American expats here. That there are, but not enough that this would be something like, all the greasy Mexicans celebrating Cinco de Mayo, which isn't an American sort of celebration. So.
Yeah, well, I do celebrate Cinco de Mayo only for the drinks. I go out for the drinks.
That's cultural appropriation.
I know, and ever since I made a Twitter, bro, that shit is fucking insane. I didn't believe how many people get triggered or bothered by the smallest things, and then when I open up their profiles, I click it to see their picture or their other tweets, and bro, it's like, what the fuck, man? These people are easily triggered, and they're most of them. I am weird myself, but I think they're to the extreme of being awkward and socially awkward, as far as they tend to have different dyes of hair, color their hair, piercings, or so many of them on their face, tattoos to say the least. You got some dudes fucking painting their fingers. It's so weird, man. Going back to the topic, a lot of people don't like turkey because they claim it to be dry. Do you make turkey, and is it dry?
How long have you tuned in for?
Right when you said call in, I was like, oh shit, because I just left work right now.
Well, I did say 3 times to call in, so we did discuss that.
Well, the most recent.
Well, then, okay, I guess you missed it. But the fact is, it was addressed. Chad says that he brines his turkey. I don't make turkey, but
okay.
Yeah, brining we discussed, and yes, we discussed the fact that many people don't like turkey because the way that it's cooked, it does come out dry, and that is obviously not what you want. You want a nice moist
Nope.
turkey, a juicy turkey, and you shouldn't have to rely on gravy to moisten it up when the turkey itself should have been
Yes.
moist in the first place. But yes, we discussed that previously.
Yes, that is correctly said. Stuffing. Obviously, it's obviously better if it's handmade, self-made. Could we agree?
Normally, yes, but the
Or
thing
you
is,
don't-
though, if somebody doesn't know how to make stuffing or they make it poorly, then it'll come out all soggy and just all clumped together. So, there are options available to those that aren't very skilled with the stuffing, so they can necessarily, make something from, Stouffer's or Butterball. I think it's Butterball. There's a few companies out there that make stuffing, and they just freeze it, and all you got to do is defrost it, bake it, and boom, you're good to go. And just a warning: some of those things, they're you don't expect to get so much stuffing. I've used those things before in the past because they're convenient. It's quick, and because if you're the sole person taking care of Thanksgiving dinner, trust me, that amount of pressure is huge, and you're running nonstop for at least an entire day, if not probably an entire week. And I've done that several times, both with Canadian Thanksgiving and with Christmas and New Year's. And let's just say I was known for hosting some very, very good, classy, and exceptional parties, to say the least.
Well, don't you think that's kind of wrong though, for one person to be in charge of everything?
If it's a family, yes. If it's a friend who's inviting other friends to attend, not really. But although it's always appreciated, because it's difficult to do that. But look, people are assholes. What can you say?
Hell yeah, hell yeah. I mean, I'd like to be cordial, and somebody invites me, I'll be like, all right, yeah, what can I bring?
Well,
No
but
food?
that's-
Okay,
that's-
well then I'll bring drinks.
Exactly. That's where it gets into more of what would be happening as well. Is that although, for example, if I was hosting a party and I was taking care of the main and other aspects of it, it obviously would be sort of initially proposed or suggested that if I'm going to be running a party, people should expect to bring something. Not necessarily like a potluck, but it is something that you can't, as one person, especially in these times, and especially, say, one person alone, can't be expected to feed an entire group of people. So it would be only fair and only logical that if you are hosting a party, you would have people pitch in.
Now, what would you do? Let's say, I'm just using the community. Let's say you invited some people in the community to Thanksgiving dinner, and as you call them, right? Like you call one by one, right? To invite them. Let's say you call me. Hey, SC, you're being invited to. I'm hosting a Thanksgiving dinner. I'm inviting you. It's here. Blah blah blah. And would you be upfront and say, look, I would appreciate it if you bring something, or would you let it go and see if I would bring something?
Well, it depends. It depends on a lot of different factors. If it was okay, so let's go with the basics of your scenario. Okay, just like I'm not spending with my family. I'm just spending it with people from the community. Okay.
Yes.
What I'd probably do is I would say, that I'm hosting a Thanksgiving dinner, and if you'd like to attend, then the requirement would be to provide a dish. And that dish would have to be sort of, approved to make sure that it doesn't, that no two people are making the same dish. We're not going to want, 4 egg salads, or whatever.
Yes. I love egg salads. Yes.
So do I. But regardless is the fact that, there has to be balance and stuff. And the thing is, though, in that case, it would be more like a Thanksgiving potluck. It wouldn't necessarily be a Thanksgiving dinner. The difference being is the dinner is essentially, it's more of a family type thing, in my opinion, in the sense that, with the family, you don't usually have to worry about that sort of thing, because either you have family that's bringing food already because they know that that's going to be necessary, or you have family that shows up and and says, okay, how can I help? Okay, you do this, you cut these carrots, you do that. I mean, that's how Thanksgiving dinner actually works. So that it's a group, it's a family thing. So it's already a group consensus effort. Everyone knows, even the small kids. Okay, I want you to set out the plates. I want you to do.
Yes.
It's basically already a consensus. I don't believe that it applies there. In the situation that you're referring to as more of friends or acquaintances, it would have to be defined as a potluck. And I would straight out say that from the very beginning. It wouldn't be something like, we would appreciate if you would add this or that, right? It would be straight up, you want to come, you got to bring.
Well, yeah. Yep.
And I'm glad that you bring that topic up, because that is a very big source of contention for me. And I'm glad that you brought up the topic in general, is the etiquette. Etiquette is extremely important when it comes to food and to eating. And etiquette when it comes to potlucks is something that I think is extremely important. In fact, I'm, like I said, incensed by what I have witnessed in the past, to the point where I will no longer host a potluck because of the bullshit that I've seen. And I hosted some of the greatest fucking potlucks and fucking parties and shit ever. I had DJs. I had fucking DJs scratching it up at one of my New Year's parties, for example. Oh, man. We're talking food, okay? I'm going to stick to food. We can have a pissing contest later.
Well, I don't know. Obviously there's people older than me in this community, but I don't think this is a wrong message. But I think I've dealt with people where I've invited them over, and most of the time they come over empty-handed. And I think if you're listening, have some proper etiquette. If you're being invited to go someone's place, don't just assume like, oh, you know what, they're inviting me. Yeah, it's because they have everything. They're in charge. No, I mean, I'm assuming, or I'm so hopeful, and I'm inviting you because we're so close, and I'm hoping that, in the back of your mind, you're like, you know what, let me ask this person, what can I bring? Or let me just bring it without even asking.
Exactly. And I'm so glad that you brought that up again. Like, we don't always agree on things, but like, and I think sometimes your insistence on certain protocols and, show of respect is a little excessive. Regardless, you're spot on. And sometimes you shouldn't even need to ask, in the sense that, oh, somebody's inviting me for a fancy dinner. Well, I know that they like Pinot Noir, and I know they like this particular winery, so I'm going to go out and I'm going to buy a bottle of that. Oh, what's that? Could he possibly already have wine that he's going to serve? Big deal. It cost me $10.
Yeah.
It's a gift for him, and he can end up using it for another meal that he'll end up hosting that I might be at.
Or we could even drink it ourselves too. I mean, But
that's the thing, though. It's just like, say, for example, one person invites 7 other people, and each of them brings a bottle of wine. That's not a big deal. That's actually conducive towards having future dinner parties. It'll be a good laugh for everyone, and people will say, next time we'll all bring, pies or something. So the thing is, though, the guy's now stocked up for the next 12 or 7 dinner parties. So those things are just normal signs of respect. I mean, it's an unspoken rule, because it shouldn't need to be spoken. Okay. Yes, there are stupid people out there that don't even grasp the basics of this. But again, even if you don't want to buy a bottle of wine, you could say, so what are you having? Like, what's planned for the night? Oh, we're gonna have roast beef. Oh, is there maybe something that I could bring? Is there something that I make that you like? Oh, you make the greatest potato salad. Could you bring that one? Yeah, sure, why not? That would go great with what you're talking about. And, they might say, oh, well, this other person's bringing this, and that goes great with your dish and mine. It's like, it makes sense to ask this sort of thing.
Yes, yes.
But let's talk
Yeah,
about
I mean,
potlucks.
and it,
Go ahead.
and if you happen to be shy and you don't want to ask, I think you could never go wrong with a drink. Never. You can
A
never go
bottle?
wrong
You mean
if
a
even
bottle
if the
of
person does
a bottle of alcohol is what you're referring to?
anything like juice, preferably not soda. But even if you bring soda, it's something that you're eating. So as you're eating, what do you want to do? You want to drink something. So don't assume that the person will have, oh, he'll have a bottle of apple juice. He knows I don't like soda. Don't assume that. If you don't like soda, then bring something for yourself at least. Don't expect the person to have everything and make you comfortable. So let's have some etiquette, especially these upcoming holidays. If you're being invited somewhere, let's keep in mind
And
that
that includes after the meal. That includes things like washing the dishes or cleaning up.
yeah, oh,
That's
yes,
huge. That
that
is
is,
fucking huge.
yeah, bro.
These people just spent literally the entire day slaving over the food that you consumed. The least that you can do is offer assistance or insist. You know what? You go take a rest. I'm going to wash your dishes. Or I'm going to clean up after. I'm going to, do whatever. But you got to recognize that as a guest that this isn't just a simple meal. This is a whole, process, and it's a lot of stress on that person. And again, consider 2020. Whoever's actually hosting a Christmas party or a Thanksgiving party already has to deal probably with the potential that their state might say it's illegal, or they're worried that some of their neighbors might want to rat on them or some bullshit like that. And plus there's trying to make the family happy, hope that they enjoy their meal, and there's already a lot of stress on the person that's hosting and making all the food, and that could be several people. Keep that in mind, especially at the end of the night, so that you show your gratitude and appreciation by offering them, help.
Now let's say you don't do any of these that have just been we're not telling you to do anything. I'm just, giving you guys a heads up. If you don't do any of these, don't expect to be invited ever again.
Well,
No matter how good
host.
the gathering was, like I've had friends recently, I think 2 weeks ago, come over, and it bothers me. I told them, yeah, I'll have some wings set. You guys can come through. I'm assuming we've been so close for so many years. I'm assuming that, hey, they'll bring something, and then they showed up empty-handed. I'm like, what the fuck? They're like, and then they're asking me, oh, you don't have any fries? I'm like, whoa, what? Come on. So as much as fun as we had and everything, I'm not going through that hassle again.
Let's move on to like I said,
Yeah.
an issue of contention, potlucks.
Yes.
And you did bring up this aspect, and I was gonna eventually talk about it on another episode, but we're gonna talk about it now. Potlucks. And you're referring to, because there is this sort of unspoken rule amongst friends, or there should be, about the situation that you went through. But we're going to an extra level here, okay? A potluck is a special event. It is an event where people of variety of backgrounds and beliefs come together and they share equally food, okay? So it's not like one person literally bakes a casserole and the other one brings a can of nuts. No.
No way.
It has
No,
to
exactly.
be equal. And on top of that, if you arrive to a potluck empty-handed, you need your hands cut off. Because it is the
Can I give
greatest
you-
insult. Let me finish. It's the greatest
Yes, yes.
insult to go to a potluck that you were extended a visit to and told the requirement is you are to make a dish of this equivalent size that allows to feed X amount of people. If you cannot comply, you are not invited. And these people show up thinking, well, like I don't have the time, whatever excuse. And it's always an excuse. But then they expect that they're going to be able to just now pick, pick from all this food and not contribute a goddamn thing, despite the fact that they were literally told that was a condition of their attendance.
I just Googled, because this is actually a first time. I've never heard the word potluck.
You've never heard that.
This is a
you
first for
greasy
me.
mestizo.
No.
It's clear that you haven't
I've never heard this.
assimilated yet with American culture after how many years? So you got to go back. And the wall just got 50
I'm not gonna
feet
dox
higher.
myself, so no.
And Mexico's going to pay for it.
So, I just Googled 12 things, not 12 things. Okay, well,
Whatever,
I
just get
found
to
on
the
the
point.
internet 12 things to bring to a potluck. And let me give you two of those 12 things. Tell me, how do you feel about that? One of them being, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly, Toll House cookies.
I'm not too sure
That's
what those
one. Okay, well, let me give you another one then. Guacamole, I think we all know that. How do you feel about guacamole being brought to a potluck?
are. If you're going to bring guacamole, you need to bring chips. You need to bring tortillas or something. You don't just bring the guacamole with no
Okay.
fucking utensils to consume it.
So that's one of them. Are you ready for the second
Just
one
keep
that
going.
I've decided to bring up in
Just
this
keep
list?
going. Stop fucking asking me and just go.
Ice.
If you want to bring that along with something else, okay. But if you just want to bring ice alone, you can fuck yourself.
Literally, it says if you've already left the house and realize that you forgot to prepare something, you can just stop at a gas station along the way and grab a bag of ice.
What's the name
It
of the
may
author?
not impress.
What's
Hold on, it may not impress, but it's better than nothing. And at this point, it's time to just embrace your laziness as an essential component of your personality.
No.
This is all written by Amanda Damon from McGill University.
Oh, no wonder. That's a shitty university. And plus, it's a woman. But this is ridiculous. You know what? At that point, just call and say, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to make it. I'm sorry, something came up.
That is so fucked up.
Because that's
Yes.
fucking pathetic. That's literally like
Yes.
that's like, I don't know, filling up a jug of water at your home from your tap and bringing it to the fucking potluck saying, well, this is all I could do. Do you have no shame?
Wait,
That's
now,
embarrassing.
Dave.
I'm embarrassed for that person.
Dave, now do you think this was purposely put onto the list to make the person who was ever Googling this at the moment, make them feel like a piece of shit and go like, you know what, I can't do that. I can't just bring ice. Maybe in their mind, they're like, yeah, I'll bring ice. But then they read this and they were like, you know what? No, I can't do that. I need to do something. Maybe that
No,
was
man,
written on purpose.
I doubt it's satirical. I really do. People are this stupid to write these types of stupid articles. Regardless, move on to the next one.
Well, that was the last one. The rest I'll read them.
That's it?
And then I'll leave after this. No. Those were just two random things. The first one was pasta salad.
That's not bad.
No. Slutty brownies.
I don't know what slutty brownies are.
Salted. These brownies taste good. Okay. Salted caramel brownies.
Yeah.
Looks pretty good. I don't know how I feel about this one. I want to see what you say. Sweet potato wedges.
Are they fried?
I'm
not
they
familiar
look
with
fried.
those.
But
I'm not familiar with those.
that's
Move
kind of
on.
weird though, because you bring fries. Obviously, it's going to take, let's say, 20 minutes to drive to the place. They're going to be cold by then. So I don't know how I feel about that.
Move on. Next one.
Garlic bread.
No.
7-layer dip.
Yes. I've done that. And mine's fucking awesome.
I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly. Skewers.
How's it spelled?
Skewers. It's
skewers.
basically
Skewers.
skewers.
Jesus.
There you go.
How long have you been in America?
Sorry. 1 year.
Bullshit.
Capri salad.
I'm not sure what's in
And then
there,
it goes
but
back.
salad's never a bad thing.
Basically. basically mozzarella cheese with some tomato.
Oh,
It
okay.
looks like
Basil, probably.
yeah, it looks pretty good.
That is good. That's
Yes.
a very good salad. It's actually it's bocconcini.
Toll House cookies.
It's bocconcini cheese that's in that. It's delicious.
Toll House cookies, which is just cookies. I don't know how I feel about that. Guacamole again. It says alcohol, and right after the alcohol, we have the last one being ice, which is I don't know. How I feel
Pathetic.
about all that.
It's pathetic that
pretty-
it would be included.
Yeah, yeah.
But
That whole list overall to me is pretty pathetic.
it is.
Now, I clicked on the first image popping up on Potluck. It looks pretty good. They have a whole table with everything that they brought to the table. And this looks absolutely fucking delicious. It's like a buffet, basically.
Exactly.
But everybody brings something
exactly.
equivalent
But it's not
to one
again,
another's.
a buffet is literally shit food, unless you're like in some high class
yeah.
place. Like Vegas has some high class buffets. Regardless, a normal buffet is garbage. And this, is coming from people so you know the quality is there, that they're using good ingredients, and that, again, like for example, you have, say, an Indian coworker, and they bring something that you don't normally find in Indian cuisine, but it literally is fucking like a secret family recipe, and it's fucking the greatest thing ever, and you've never tried something like that. And that's literally sitting alongside, I don't know, fucking some North American meal. And then next to that, there's a fucking purely, Mexican casserole or something.
Mexican casserole. Jesus Christ.
Yo,
So,
what are they called? I can't remember the name, but yes, there is something called a Mexican casserole. All it is just like tortillas and then cheese and meats and vegetables and then more tortillas and then more cheese and stuff. And that is considered a Mexican casserole from the Mexicans.
like a Mexican lasagna. Sounds like a Mexican lasagna.
It starts with a Q. I can't remember what it's called.
Quesadilla?
No, it's not a quesadilla. Well, whatever.
I will be leaving, but on that note, Tiffany said she'll be bringing some sparkling tap water to the potluck. So,
see, that wouldn't be accepted. Quilachiles.
Quilachiles.
Yeah.
Never heard of that.
Well, it's very
Again,
good. It's very good.
I mean, bro, sadly, over time, I've become, what is this called? Fuck. When you can't eat cheese anymore.
Lactose
any dairy
intolerant.
products? Lactose. I've become lactose over the years. Lactose intolerant. And I've tried Lactaid milk. I've tried it all. Today in the morning, I've tried some, it's not, I think, what was it called? It's not soy milk. It's something else. Apparently I can't drink that. It's sad, bro.
It's great
Sad
that
day.
this is something that is affecting your health, but you don't even know the name of it. I must commend you on your ignorance.
I know it's not skim milk. I've been trying milks as of late, and it's something with an M. It's some type of seed, and I gave it a shot. I'm like, you know what? I saw it on the counter. It cost like $5.99. I'm like, you know what? I'll try milk. I'll try this one, and it did not work out. I've been having the poops all day. So it seems like milk is done for me.
Well, actually,
milk?
it's probably because you're drinking pasteurized milk. I would suggest try to find yourself a proper dairy farm and go drink some raw milk and let me know what you think.
Oh, I'm probably gonna throw up because I mean, bro, I love it. I love to eat anything, but it's just my stomach. My
No, but see, the thing is, though,
just
you don't.
no longer.
Yeah, but you're ignorant on where it's coming from, and that's why it's happening. Because pasteurized milk is
I've tried.
fairly shitty.
Well, okay. I've tried eggs as well. I've tried anything with dairy, bro. Anything, cheese.
What do you?
I can't.
Eggs don't have dairy. They're in the dairy fucking
Yeah, but it's
aisle.
in the dairy section. Exactly.
Yeah, it's in the
anything
dairy
section. I
section.
can't. Yogurt.
What lactose?
Yogurt,
What lactose does a fucking egg have, idiot?
Well, the ones that come
It's
from
in the
cows.
dairy aisle. You know, it's also in the dairy aisle. Fucking sometimes like sink scrubbers and fucking
juice.
chip clips and shit. The fuck you talking about?
Clips.
You
What are
know,
chip
you clip your
clips?
chip bag and it's closed. They have, dude. You're pathetic, man. You're pathetic.
This guy, I'm talking about food, and then he brings up. I like that. You got me there. You got me there. I did come from Mexico last year, so I
No,
mean
fact is, you were
Guatemala.
born in America, and your lack of knowledge is just incredible, but understandable, although not forgivable.
you.
And you will be going back over the wall. Regardless, though, I suggest next time you go to the doctors, you get them to write the note, take a photo of it, and send it to me so that I know exactly what are these symptoms. Because, like, you're like, I'm allergic to something. It's just like, yeah, that kind of, you know,
No,
is
I'm
a
not
difference
allergic to
between,
anything.
you know, dead and alive. So maybe you want to know what
You
that's
know, I
about.
did have symptoms.
Yeah, well,
I
you
did
can't even
have
identify
symptoms
what it
of,
is that causes those symptoms. So, you know, I think that's
I did have
important.
symptoms of gastritis not too
You
long
think,
ago.
okay, don't come to
The
me with
whole
I think. Okay, I hate it when people think it will say,
well,
"Well, I think it's this," or "I'm almost sure." It's like I don't give a fuck about speculation. Yes or no, simple as that.
okay, well, did, I did have some stomach pain, upper stomach pain. It was very gassy. No matter what food that I took, I could not accept it. It had to be only soups, crackers as well. Um, I don't know, man. I was very gassy for like 3 days, and the entire week I was done. I Googled it, the symptoms, and it seemed like it was a gastritis. Now, I did not go to the doctor because there's no way in hell, even though I have health insurance, I am not going to be paying for that. What I am willing to go for is, you know, probably my teeth. I will
It's
be going to the dentist soon.
it's a pH balance issue. You got to eat some alkaline-based soups, and that should alleviate your stomach and provide some sort of more regularity to your digestive process. So I would suggest doing that if that is something that you're still
I,
suffering from.
I've been trying some herbal teas as of late, and they've been helping out. I don't know if you can hear it.
I
They've been helping out tremendously.
Yeah, but I just
Are,
addressed the
are
issue
you a
that
big
you
tea
can.
guy? How do you feel about teas?
Yeah, but I addressed the issue that does more work than tea. So you might want to
Well,
consider that.
you're right. Last question. How
In
do you
regard,
feel
I haven't
about...
answered your tea question. I'm not a big tea guy, no.
Yes.
But I do like tea, especially green tea. Something about Chinese green tea, when made right, that I could just drink liters of the stuff. It's the flavor, it's the I don't know, it's the heat level. Because you can, I mean, I can drink that really hot, but there's other teas that will scald me if I drink them. I don't know, but yeah, Chinese green tea
You
for some
being
reason is just fucking awesome.
you being Argentine, mate.
Mate, I like. Mate, I like
Do
in
you?
its traditional
I've
form.
never seen you or I've ever heard you drinking it. I've always seen Argentines with the little cups and the little straw or the
Yep.
straw spoon, whatever it is.
Yeah, it's the gourd
But I've never seen you
and the
on.
straw.
I've never seen you with one.
Why
you
would
have
you?
one?
Why would you?
Well, I've seen you with the video with the oh yeah, that one. I don't know. I feel like
But why would?
I don't know. Maybe
Look,
Argentines
what would
do
the
it
gringos
without
even
realizing.
think? Like they wouldn't even know what that is.
Well, who cares what they think? Let's be honest.
No, but I mean, like, mate's for the morning. Yeah, I know that some of them drink it like tea for the afternoon and stuff, but no, I'm not down with that
Yeah,
shit.
throughout the whole day.
No, I'm against like
Okay.
English, like the whole like let's have tea English. Like no, I'll pass.
All right. Okay.
To
I
me,
will
mate
be
is a morning
going.
drink. Mate is not like
I think too. To be
no,
honest.
but see, but that's
to
the
be
thing
honest.
though. I know where you're coming from. That okay, here's the deal. Argentine culture is a culture that lives more in the night than it does during the day, especially on weekends. So yes, you would have
Sounds
on a
fun.
Friday. Sorry. What
Sounds fun.
Well, yeah.
It sounds fun.
It's the typical South American lifestyle where You know, it's basically Friday afternoon. Um, you know, you just wake up and you have your mates and you have a little bit of food here and there. Then you prep to go out. So at 8, 9 o'clock, you're going out and you're having dinner at that point. And then after that, by 11, 12, you're going to the discotheque. You're going to the dance bars and you're up for another 4 or 5 hours. And then comes going for breakfast right after all the clubbing and enjoyment of the nightlife. And then
I do love the nightlife.
and then from there, it's going to bed, you know, maybe 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. And then you have at least another day to do the same, you know, because it's the weekend sort of thing. But even on weekdays, it seems to be much more common to go out and enjoy the nightlife. It's like a late start in the morning. The Chinese are someone like this. Late start, stores open
Yes.
later, 10, 11, sometimes noon, and then they're open extremely late.
I'll try this to be my last question. Will you be, although you already did last month, will you be celebrating Thanksgiving this Thursday?
Not particularly, no.
No, no plans, nothing.
No, not really. I mean, like I celebrated last month, and I mean,
Okay.
again, it's the celebration of Thanksgiving on Thursday is more of an American thing than a Canadian thing. If I was in America right now, obviously I would, but no, there's no particular reason for me to go out and buy a turkey. And although there are, like, I've noticed that in the supermarkets as of late, is that there is a lot of turkeys and chickens that are available, ducks and other things like that. So it's not that it's not necessarily celebrated here, but it's not necessarily, it's more of a seasonal thing than a name that's put on it. You know, we had our Thanksgiving, but this doesn't mean that this weekend, where again, there's Americans that do come up to Canada to spend it with their family because they've got the time off. Although they got to fly in because they can't drive through the border. Yeah, we do see, I've seen quite a fair bit of Americans come to Canada, or at least cars with American license plates. They could be a Canadian that was living down there and came up here, but because they had the time off. But I do see a lot of American plates during Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving, up here in Canada. But
Okay, well,
maybe I'll make myself a
I appreciate your
Christmas
time.
turkey. Well, I appreciate you calling in and sharing your thoughts. Are you going to be having empanadas for your Thanksgiving, or are you actually going to go the white way and
No,
have some turkey?
no, we don't. I don't. No, I don't do empanadas. I mean, I love empanadas, but no, they're not. They're not something we use for festivities. We do go the turkey way.
Oh,
My father is the
impressive.
one that cooks it.
Who?
My father is the one that cooks it. My father.
How does he
And,
do so? How does he cook
Wow.
it?
He bakes it.
But does he do
but
anything so that it's juicy? Like you were talking about juicy turkey.
Oh,
So what does he
hell
do?
yes.
What does he do?
Yes. Yes. I don't know exactly what he does. I've become a fan of cooking as of late.
Okay.
And so this year I'm really going to study it.
This year you
But
learn the secret.
I've noticed that. Yes.
And
he
keep your
does
eye
not-
on how he measures the temperature, because that's something
Yes.
that apparently you need to do quite a lot with a big turkey. So keep your eye on that, because that's always a very nuanced aspect of the skill, is the temperature of the bird.
I mean, this is the only time when I see him use the thermometer. You know, stick it up its rectal. And
Exactly. So you got to
Check.
pay attention, because it's a good learning opportunity, and you know, I'm sure that you'll be able to tell us in the future exactly what techniques he used to ensure his turkey stayed moist.
Now, one thing I do notice is that there's always liquid surrounding the turkey at the bottom, at the base.
Could be some of the
I don't
fat.
know, is that
Could be some of the fat. Could be some of the
is
basting.
that regular? Is that something that everybody does with their turkey? Because every time
They
he pulls
sweat,
it out
dude.
the oven,
The
I
meat
see
sweats. The meat sweats. Okay.
it. But
So,
it's
of
like
course,
a lot. It's a lot, though.
Yeah. Well, it depends also. For
Now,
example, well, hold on. If it was brined that and soaked, as Chad was saying that he was going to do, then there's a very good chance that as you bake it over 8 hours, a lot of that fluid is going to breathe out through from the flesh.
I'm gonna study it
Okay,
this time.
stop the speculation. I think it's time for you, Padawan, to just open yourself up to the Force. And as your father does it, be sure to ask as many questions as possible and pay attention. Take notes if you have to. And then come share with us your knowledge next week on how much more knowledgeable and how better much a cook you are from what you learned and gained on Thanksgiving.
I'll take some pictures and I'll send it to you.
There you go.
Maybe
Yeah,
you could
I'll
judge
show
me
them.
on
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. In fact, I encourage everyone. That's a great idea, Steve. Encourage everyone that on Thursday, if you want, take a photo of your Thanksgiving spread, everything, and as many photos as you want. Send them
Ooh.
to me. You can send them to me. You can send them to me privately on Instagram. I'm there, Devious Dave Rose. Or you can send them to me via my email, deviousdaverose@gmail.com. And I would love to show them next week and display everyone's
That's
different
cool.
spreads.
That's a good idea. What any names for the title for next week? Do you think you have any title names?
Well, it depends on what topic we'll talk about, but perhaps it'll be Thanksgiving aftermath, because I would very much love to hear, things that happened on Thanksgiving, not just with the food, but perhaps there was a particular event that your family had, and perhaps there was an argument with the blue-haired sister that went off to do liberal studies and came home to lecture
Well, there's
everyone
that.
on how the Indians were these great people and America is so evil.
Especially that the elections just passed by. This will be an interesting Thanksgiving
Exactly.
for some households. So let's try to be civil and stay away from politics, because we know
I think more important than
it
the
just won't go
politics
right.
is the fact that with all that's happened with COVID, that people should take this opportunity to show gratitude, to be thankful, and just to forget about all the world's problems at least for a day, and try to reconnect with their family and reconnect with what is important in their lives.
On that note, amen, Dave Rose.
It's a pity that you
I
have to
did
leave
not
now
get to
because you
wish
kept
you.
interrupting me while I was trying to bring up a topic that I wanted your input on. But okay, scamper away there if you want.
I was gonna say, I did not get to wish you a happy Thanksgiving last month because at the moment we were not on good terms. But happy belated Thanksgiving, and I wish you and your family a blessed week as always. And take care, brother.
Thank you very much for your call, SC Steve.
And the viewers, the listeners, I hope you guys all have a happy Thanksgiving.
All right, and
Take
there
care,
goes
everyone.
SC Steve.
Thank you, Dave.
So, good discussion. Somewhat longer than I expected. A lot of interruptions, but okay. Steve is, not too experienced in many things, but since it is Thanksgiving, we're going to be very merciful and peaceful. But let's get back to a topic that I was trying to make note of. Shout out to Vikings fan in the chat. And it was a topic that I was hoping to get Steve's input on, but you heard him. He was just very needy and, he needed to talk about just himself and so forth. But regardless, potlucks. And also a little embarrassed that even being born in America, he didn't even know what potlucks were and the joy that they bring. But potlucks, specifically etiquette on potlucks. As I said earlier, it's a point of contention for me, and I'm quite incensed as to my experience with hosting potlucks. In fact, even attending them as well, not just hosting them. Now, what is such a big deal, Dave Rose, that you need to continually bring this up? One word, people, respect. That's what it is, respect. And the fact is that you will encounter this quite often than not, that if you do host a potluck, there will be people who will either try to take advantage of it, or they'll try to skimp by doing the bare minimal and expect to partake in a feast that they really put no effort into. I've seen people bring... Oh, okay, so I think this was for one of my parties. This was advertised as a potluck. Okay, that was the condition. You'd had to bring food. The outline as to what the mains were, at least, you know, what I was going to make, and I was actually providing quite a lot of food, as it was, as a good host does. But it was indicated that these were the foods that were going to be included, that were being made, and that, you know, to attend, that you would need to bring something of an equivalent nature in quantity, right? Not to, like, dish-wise. Not the spread that I made, because it included more than just a bunch of dishes. There's, like, appetizers and that sort of thing. But, you know, a dish of an equivalent size that would be considered a main that would feed, you know, the amount of people that were going to attend. And this one guy showed up with his fat girlfriend, and they literally brought 2 bags of those small-sized chips. Okay, so it's not even like a large size of chips, a large bag. It was those 2, like the small ones that you would literally get at a gas station. But they waltzed in there thinking that, oh, I can, oh, look, a 7-layer dip, scalloped potatoes, roast beef, honey glazed carrots. Oh, I can just come on in and just, you know, load up a ton for me and my girlfriend and just scarf down on all this stuff, and yet have literally done 0 effort to attend this event. It's not just being oblivious. I think there's more to this. This is literally contempt. It's conscious contempt. And it's something that entitled people have, is that they believe that, oh, well, you invited me to your party. You should just feel extra special that I'm even considering attending. So, of course, you know, this whole condition of providing food, no, that's an afterthought. Perhaps I'll consider it when I let my chariot bring me to your little festival. But this contempt, truly, I believe it is that, is just unbelievable. There was another event that I attended. I was co-hosting this one. And there was this one guy that was invited who was the boyfriend of the girl that was hosting it, or co-hosting it with me. And he knew it was a potluck. And I knew the guy was a piece of shit bum. And I knew that he wasn't going to bring a goddamn thing. But I literally pestered him that entire fucking week leading up to it. And I saw that guy daily. So I was literally pestering him, and, you know, slyly. You know, so what do you have planned to bring to the potluck? This is what I'm bringing, or this and that. And he's like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, well, it's getting close. I mean, it is, you know. And, yeah, the day comes of the potluck, and, you know, I sort of, you can't say I made a scene, but I sort of shamed him. And I mean, like, everyone sort of, you know, being the cowards that they were, sort of looked the other way. But there were a few comments of people who were like displeased, who sort of like chimed in when I brought up the topic. So it was, along the lines of, "Oh, hey, hey, welcome to the party. We've been working on all these dishes. So where's yours?" "Oh, I didn't bring one." "You did? How's that possible? You knew about this. I've been reminding you every day. Like, I mean, like, how's that possible?" "Oh, well, I mean, I was kind of busy." And that was, but like a whole week, that was that much work. Like, just, definitely threw him off. And, then one guy was like, "Yeah, man, like, seriously, like, I've been, like, that was the guy that made the roast beef. He's like, 'Yeah, man, I've been slaving over this roast beef and stuff, and you're going to come in like that, man? I don't care if you're fucking this girl's boyfriend.'" She wasn't like, she wasn't pleased, but she was also a loser who settled on losers. So obviously, she didn't make too much of a deal about it. But then there was and there was another woman actually who sort of chimed in as well, like, not with a big statement, but more like, that's just sad, man. You knew about this, and like, you did this on purpose. So yeah, so and those are just two examples. Those are just two examples of what I've experienced with potlucks. And it's just this, people are very entitled. Some people are very entitled, and they honestly believe that they can attend these events, sometimes, again, that have stipulations that say, if you're going to be attending this event, you need to bring a dish. Here's what's being offered. Here's what. Sometimes I've seen some events, like, for example, and you see these like on, like, what's that? Oh, damn it. There's a website, Meetup. Yeah, there we go. Where, like, if you scroll through, you see a bunch of different events. Now, I remember seeing some events where it's like, it was like, for example, a line dancing sort of potluck, right? So there's going to be line dancing, but there's also a potluck, right? And I saw other events like that too, like a Sikh festival, which is also a potluck. Community Christmases, sort of, but they're labeled as potluck, and they actually have like even more strict rules in the sense that, okay, if you're gonna make chicken, you've got to stick between these types, or you cannot use anything that's peanut based because of potential allergies. But there are certain sort of guidelines for some of these events. And I remember going to a potluck, for example, when I was in a scout troop, and we went to this huge hall, and there was like hundreds of people there and hundreds of dishes. Okay, I never had a chance to even try probably a tenth of them. But I just remember that everyone there, and there was all these different cultures and stuff, had, they properly made these foods. There wasn't this skimping out, or like, oh, here's a bottle of pop, here's a bag of ice, here's a bag of chips. It was, here is a tray of chicken roti. Or here's a plate of, like, an entire tray of chicken fried rice. Like, going the proper distance. Again, with the consideration of the number of people that will attend, the amount of effort and money that everyone is sort of placing in, and even a tray, one of these aluminum metal trays filled with rice, it's not going to cost more than fucking $5 maybe. $5 of rice would probably fill an entire aluminum tray. So, and if you got a frying pan or a wok, you can fry it. And if you've got some chicken too, you can add it in there, some vegetables. Regardless, it doesn't end up costing that much when you make larger quantities. So I've seen some amazing potlucks out there, and I've seen them done right. And yeah, some people might think, oh, that's a little draconian to go that far and stuff. It is if it's a personal party and stuff, but if it's something where you're inviting a community to a line dancing competition, a Christmas dinner, whatever, then there needs to be some sort of standard so that it is fair. That's the big thing. Because again, a lot of people don't seem to realize, and these are the entitled ones, the amount of effort that goes into cooking and to providing a dish that will be sufficient for the conditions of a potluck. And it, like I said earlier, it just is a point of contention for me to see it so consistently done over and over again. And that's why I, years ago stopped hosting potlucks, because it was just so aggravating that people were so, what was it? It's beyond entitlement. It's a self-centered, greedy mentality. And for example, there was a potluck that I attended where I gave explicit instructions on how to keep the food so that it would be, kept at the proper temperature, that it would be, appropriate to serve and eat and so forth. Totally disregarded and ruined my all that fucking effort that I made, that I put into it. It's beyond comprehension to me that this can happen in this day and age. But it does, obviously. But I don't find it acceptable. And I think very often a lot of people don't want to raise a fuss about it. They don't, like, if they're hosting a potluck or even a dinner, and like S.E. Steve said, a guest shows up and doesn't bring anything, knowing the amount of effort that's going into this meal or the importance of a meal because perhaps it's a special event. It's the culmination and the epitome of arrogance. These people apparently exist to serve you. And these people never once think, oh, perhaps I should be doing my fair share. So if you choose to host a potluck or even a dinner, I think it's very important to make it clear to the people that are attending that they have a responsibility to adhere to certain rules that you're adhering to yourself. In fact, you're also offering your home. You're offering a place to stay overnight if perhaps they drink too much. You're, again, offering a responsibility and a care for those in your household, because in some places the law obligates you that if someone has had too much to drink and you serve that drink to them, or they consume that drink in your house even though they brought it, which again is draconian, stupid, crazy Canadian laws, then you're liable. So there are a lot of things that a host does for his guests or her guests to accommodate them, to ensure that they're safe, that they're fed, and it's the least that someone can do to reciprocate accordingly and fairly and evenly, and not just a little bit. Not just, oh, well, here's a little bag of chips. I know that you slaved all day and everyone else who came here, actually provided a big meal, but no, me and my fat-ass girlfriend are here to fucking consume. Thanks for, setting out the food for us. So let's take a break from my rant here and go to the chat. We are blessed with the attendance of Mrs. Foulmouth Ken. Happy birthday again, and I hope your steak meal was a good one. She goes on to say, I send out a Facebook event invite and tell them what I am making. Let me know what you can bring. See, that's one way of doing it. Some people automatically get it, and some people have to be sort of reminded of it. And unfortunately, sometimes if you use certain words, you are considered to be forceful when all you're doing is just being honest. There are certain, everyone requires, like, we're having a potluck. Please let me know what dish you will bring. Well, obviously, it shouldn't be a necessity to remind them that they will bring a dish, but it does act as a reminder to say, hey, by the way, there's important things here with the potluck, and you kind of have to interact with me because you're going to be attending my place. So I don't want you to bring a turkey if I'm making one. It shouldn't even have to be mentioned. But I can understand that people will use, certain terms that don't seem aggressive or offensive or so forth. But we go back to the whole entitled attitude. And regardless, whether you mention it or not, the requirement of bringing food or bringing something that is substantial that will add to the meal, some people will get quite offended. Some people will actually think, well, why should I have to bring food? It's like, well, it's in the name, potluck. Well, you should just appreciate that I want to spend my, that I'm willing to spend my time there. It's like, but yeah, you're not being obligated, and everyone else is putting in the same effort. So why is it that the rules exclude you? And it shouldn't be tolerated. As Steve was saying earlier, that he was bothered by that fact, that should have instantly, to me, I would have probably kicked them out at that point. And some people might think that's extreme, but sometimes you have to be extreme with some people who are just too hard-headed to understand, or who have taken advantage of your generosity and just assume that they can essentially just leech off you anytime they want. So these people do need to be put in their positions, in their spots. They need to be reminded of genuine human, I guess, activity, as opposed to just being so callous and self-centered. And if you've got to put them to the curb, so be it. But that stuff needs to be called out when it happens, and not allowed to sort of fester and such. And you got to learn your lesson. If your circle of friends, if your group is the type to do this sort of thing, where you make the effort to have a party, to host a party, and then nobody puts any equal effort into doing what they say they're going to do, in whatever capacity that was agreed upon, then there's no point in being around those people. And like I said, I've experienced this so often that, I'll no longer host potlucks because, it's not that I won't. It's I stopped hosting potlucks because of that group of people that I was, the several groups of people that I was hanging out with. Those groups of peoples are no longer in association with me, or vice versa. And it's been many years since I interacted with any of them. And obviously I'm much happier for it, so I'm not excluding that I will ever do potlucks again, but I will definitely never do it with that group, for one. And always consider laying out the rules extremely harshly, because some people just don't get it. And if that limits the number of people at my potluck, that just makes more food for lesser people, and that's never a bad thing. But the callous disrespect is just something that just blows my mind. It really does. The total disregard for the host. And I've seen this so many times, even in like other people hosting parties and stuff, just seeing the disregard that guests have had, whether it be on consuming their alcohol, or even just going into their fridge and starting to eat food that is in their fridge that isn't part of the party spread. So if you choose to host parties, you do have to keep all this in mind, but more importantly, keep your dignity. Don't let these people walk over you and feel very much entitled to just literally shut off the music and say, this party's over, everyone leave. I've done that, because and I'll regale you with that story at some other point. Somebody remind me in the future, and that's a crazy story. But yeah, do not feel any hesitation to literally pull the plug on the music and just say, "Party's over, everyone leave." Because you don't deserve that disrespect. Someone who is willing to put the time and effort in not only to feed others, but to host them, to have them at a place where they can enjoy themselves, where they can relax, they can sit down, they can talk and associate with other people, meet new people. The host is usually, actually no, they're always the unsung hero of the party, always. You can help out with doing dishes afterwards, cleaning up and so forth, but it's the host that made all the effort. It's the host that thought of everyone's needs before theirs. And that, if you don't recognize that, you shouldn't be attending parties. Simple as that. And I remind everyone that our Skype lines are open. Feel free to contact me on Skype at Devious Dave Rose. I'd love to hear any particular recipe you might have to share from your Thanksgivings, current, future, or past. Well, it's not really Christmas, so there's no Christmas ghost, but you know what I'm saying. And perhaps your story you'd like to share of a Thanksgiving that you've had yourself, or perhaps your hate on those that take advantage of the potluck situation. And you can join my camp of potluck extremists. So, yeah, feel free to give us a call here. I'd love to hear from you. And I'd love to hear from people in the chat. Type in 1 if you're going to be gathering with family this year for Thanksgiving, and type a 2 if you're going to be spending it alone or doing something non-traditional. As Steve had asked if I'm doing anything particular, I didn't have anything planned. But that doesn't stop me from necessarily just altering my meal plan for the week, and I could do anything really. I mean, we have a place that sells foods here in Ontario. It's called M&M's Meat Shops, and amongst other things, they sell, and this is by another brand, by Butterball, is available in other grocery stores and stuff, but this particular one is branded M&M's, and it is essentially it's turkey breast that's sort of been wrapped around filling, stuffing. So it's not necessarily a turkey, but it's turkey breast that's literally wrapped around, a loaf of stuffing, and you put it in the oven, and a few hours later you technically have, a quick version of turkey, and stuffing for Thanksgiving. It's not bad. It's edible, it's good, tastes good with gravy, and if you don't either have the time to cook a large turkey, or perhaps you don't have an oven that's large enough, it works. And, it adds that little feeling of Thanksgiving. And, you've got a combo there. You got both the turkey and the stuffing. So, yeah, definitely something that some might consider when it comes to their Thanksgiving meals. So, Gerald Ford III will be staying with family, as will Mrs. Foulmouth Ken. Kevin's Toy Life will not be with family. Neither will Festlove. Says, one of my kids was exposed last week to someone testing positive for COVID. Entire family is quarantined. Well, that kind of sucks. Sonic Boom says Sarah Sanders has to be a man. I'm not sure what that has to do with this. Okay. Anywho, so yeah, there are alternatives to Thanksgiving turkey, and it's available year round. I mean, you can even buy stuffing year round. That if you enjoy that whole feeling of Thanksgiving and the food that's provided there, you can get that anytime you want. But obviously, around this time of year, you see an excess number of turkeys available, and their prices are fairly affordable because of the amount that are available on the market. So, definitely something delicious. Oh, shout out to Jeebus the God, who's out there in the chat. So, we've been going on for about 1 hour and 52 minutes, and I never really do too many chefs with a time limit in mind. After all, it is more a free-for-all. Although we do discuss topics on the show, and obviously today is Thanksgiving. The topic, that is, not the date. And I know that some people have chickens, or eat chicken on Thanksgiving. Some people have quail, duck. So fowl seems to be something that is usually consumed fairly often. But turkey is obviously the most common one, especially in America. And we've got Kevin's Toy Life in the chat says, thank you for the stream. Well, thank you for joining us. I do like talking food, and it would be nice, though, to get some more interaction, because that's the whole point of the show, is to actually have more than one person talking. Although I can talk on the topic on my own, I just like the concept of chefs literally arguing about what recipe is better and so forth. That, again, hence the name. I find it funny and witty. And, yeah, I'll do more than one episode with this name. So you can count at least on that. So, let's see here. Yes, Jeebus the God says some people have ham. And we did talk about that a little earlier. But yes, some people do have ham, glazed ham, which I love very much, for Thanksgiving. And, there's the spiral ham, which is already sort of cut and ready to go, which I find is extremely convenient. And it's just quicker to, if you've got a big group of people that want to eat, that, it's already spiraled, so you can just cut it off quickly. It doesn't take very long at all. A lot of the time I notice that some of these are already cooked. Really, all you're doing is just heating the thing. And, yeah, that works for me. I mean, again, if you're planning on hosting a big meal, having a lot of different sides, a lot of different desserts, snacks, appetizers, having enough chairs, drinks, all this other stuff, it becomes overwhelming. It can be. And there's a lot of different things that, go into the whole planning. So there's a lot that has to be considered. Jeebus the God says, actually, let's go right before to Gerlich Finger in the Sky. Mon says, I'm a bake a tofurkey for Yaman. And then Sonic Boom says, the tofurkey stuffed turkey ball is actually really good, stuffed with cranberries and stuffing. Yeah, speaking of, I have seen also some of the, like what I said previously, the, what was it, the turkey with the stuffing already inside. Yes, I've seen some of that actually has sort of like a vein of cranberry sauce as well. Some of them, comes with the cranberry, some doesn't, and it sometimes it includes the stuffing and it doesn't. So, yeah, it's I do like that, to be quite honest, and yeah, it tastes good. But I've seen that abomination, that photo that you showed last year of this tofurkey stuffed turkey ball. Well, it's not even turkey. It's just the fake turkey in a ball form, and it looks like seriously like something out of fucking the movie Aliens. It's just, I'm sure, hey, maybe it's all the soy that they add to make it taste better, but just looking upon that monstrosity is horrific. Jeebus the God says, I remember Dave like 5 years ago was saying proper eating fast food because of cheap dinner. I remember you said you can eat healthy on a budget. You damn right I did. You damn right I did. But no, what does Dave know, right? Because, it just makes too much sense, or is it just my tone of voice? I've been told recently, actually, by a family member who shall rename retarded and nameless, that it's my tone of voice. It's my tone of voice that triggers people. And, yeah, you know what? I don't deny that, but grow the fuck up. Grow the flying fuck up. Because, you know what? What are you gonna? Do you want like I don't know? Do you want Counselor Troy to come and tell you a message that you got a speeding ticket, or are you gonna have a fit that the cop is the one who's telling it to you? You see my point? Like, give me a fucking break. Anyways, some people are soft. Anywho, back to the chat here. Mrs. Foulmouth Ken says, I make a badass spiral ham usually for Christmas and Easter. Delizioso, bellezza. And yes, I know that's quite common for many people for Christmas. I've had ham for Christmas as well. And Easter, it's a big thing for Easter. I know that for sure because I've also had it for Easter and at many Easter celebrations. And yeah, it's very delicious. I do very much like those. The honey glazed, it's just savory, salty, sweet. Just something about ham. And any meat that really goes with both sweet and salty and savory, like any meat that does that is a very versatile meat. And literally can then be combined with just about any ingredient that will provide you with a well-rounded, healthy, balanced meal. That's a key, I believe, at least. And I'm not a nutritionist, but I believe that that is a big indicator of a food that can provide you with a lot. Kevin's Toy Life says, I'm going to make ribs and jalapeno cornbread. That sounds good. I love cornbread. Absolutely. Well, I already said I love corn. So cornbread is one of those delicious things. And yeah, I fucking love ribs too. But I'm assuming you refer to pork ribs because on this channel, I would very much, or on the show specifically, I would very much hope that people be specific about what kind of ribs they are referring to because that is a big deal here. Do I love zucchini? Jeebus the God? I love it. And I love beets too. Zucchini, obviously raw, is spicy as fuck. Although, there are certain things you can do with it. Keep a little bit of that zest and eat it in several different ways, including a sandwich. However, I prefer to actually bake a zucchini. And from there, sky's the limit. You could slice it up, put it in a sandwich, salad, make a casserole. I've actually made, check out my my Instagram. Check out and I think I included the recipe for my zucchini casserole. It's fucking incredible. And I got this zucchini that literally is like 1.5 feet long. And this motherfucker was like wider than my calf almost. It was huge. And it looked huge, but it actually made the perfect amount of casserole. And it was layered with, all this different cheese and sauce and stuff. And it came out glorious. But yeah, zucchini is fucking good if made right. Apparently someone's telling me that my bat phone rang, but I'm not seeing anybody that called. So I don't know. Oh, you guys are talking about my phone. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Just somebody bothering me while I'm hosting a show, and you can't really bother me while I'm hosting a show, so. Jeebus the God says, sorry my typo, but yeah, Dave said you can eat healthy without having much money at all. I will always remember that because if you eat fast food, it's just an excuse. Absolutely it is. And yeah, it's the problem is that we just go conveniently to that because we know we can. But if you realize that there is an alternative out there, and all it really is that's holding you back is the willpower, or at least the, whatever. It could be multiple things, but it's a very small thing that's keeping you back, and it doesn't take much. And once you get into habit, that's when it's over. That's when it's like, this was so easy, I can't believe I didn't realize it. And now that's going to be your routine. It's going to be a lot cheaper for you. You're going to have an excess amount of food that's going to last longer. There's, sky's the limit. Oh yeah, sky's the limit. I always told you that when you buy natural food, you can go all over. But it's stupid how easy it is to eat well. Because yes, even things like vegetables you can buy for next to nothing and literally make yourself a whole bowl that is a salad that you could even put in chicken chunks into and make it, complete with some protein and such. So there is so much that that can be done. Let's see here. Oh, Jeebus the God said, I think you were trying to help Tommy lose weight. Probably. I mean, I probably did mention that to him about the simplicities of that. Zucchini bread mentions Mrs. Foulmouth Cannon. I do agree. Zucchini bread is very delicious. Surprising. It's surprising that it comes out so well in bread. Like you would think, well, banana bread tastes great, but zucchini, how could that taste good in a bread? And it's awesome. It is really good. Snake World says, of course, Joe randomly goes live anyway. This show is way more entertaining. Well, I was not aware of that because I'm concentrating on you, the viewers. Love talking food. And, I love talking about different recipes and different meals and learning, because I love to learn. And when it comes to recipes, that is a great way to learn about somebody else or about their culture, or about what they value. So that's why I believe food is the big equalizer. It has a great way of bringing people together. Now, I'm going to have to just quickly step aside to go and use the facilities. And when I say that, I mean take a piss. So give me about 30 seconds and I'll be right back. And we're back, baby. Thank you for staying tuned into Too Many Chefs. I'm your host, Devious Dave Rose, and we are talking Thanksgiving dinner. I'd like to thank all 19 viewers that are viewing us right now. So we've covered just about everything when it comes to Thanksgiving, at least when it comes to what's included in the meals. But there are obviously so many other things that we could discuss, because really the meals that are featured at your Thanksgiving are entirely up to your imagination. And you can provide an amazing array of foods and different options, flavors, it's usually a very mindful host who considers even the combinations of flavors and how they might come out when mixed. So, just another thing that goes on the shoulders of some of those that take making meals for Thanksgiving seriously. And when I think of American Thanksgiving, which I have celebrated with Americans in the past, I think of just Christmas because it's very similar to that, at least to me. It's the gathering of family on a very special occasion, and there's a lot of bustle and hustle that's going on, including families and friends that are coming together who maybe they've never met or have had limited interaction, and this is that opportunity for them to connect again or reconnect, and helping out family members with just about anything, as we spoke about earlier, setting the plates, or as a teenager you might be told, okay, get the kids all to the kids table and get them to help put out the plates and stuff, and come help me later, and we need to do this with the meats or whatever. Very much something that I just loved. It's the holiday season is something that I find a lot of enjoyment in. I have a lot of great memories of, but it really is a double-edged sword, because it's a time where sometimes you can get a little down, and it doesn't help that winter and not being exposed to sunlight, getting that vitamin D and E, and the conditions, the environmental conditions that essentially cause increased depression. Some people are alone during these times, or perhaps the time reminds them of something in the past where they used to have a great time and now not so much. So it's one of those times where there could be both very happy memories, and it could be something that can be bothersome or a little depressing. So I think it's important to just remember that this is, for a lot of people, it's a great time, and they're out there and they're able to share their time with their family. But for others, especially those that are in states that are suffering from the oppressiveness of the draconian laws. Well, they're not even laws, they're mandates, because it's illegal to essentially enforce these mandates, where they say you have to wear a mask. That's a mandate, that's not a law. And the government has and will continue to be prosecuted for this, the states, the particular states themselves, because it is legal. Let's go back to the chat here. Jeebus the God says, Dave, have you ever had Yorkshire pudding? I have. I liked it. I'd like to have it more often, to be quite honest. And we're going to have to do an episode on medieval cooking, because pudding is where it comes from. And it's funny, though, because when some people think pudding, they think the North American pudding, which is just like a sort of creamy, substance. And it's actually not. I mean, the original pudding is not anything close to that. And in fact, the Spanish word for the English style pudding is budín, which does sort of eventually become pudding. Budín, pudding. Same with French. So there's some great stories that I will be telling about that in the future, because the evolution of food to me is also extremely fascinating. The history of food is fascinating. So Jeebus the God continues, says, it's actually a muffin of goodness. With gravy, it's the best. Yes, exactly. It's not, what North Americans call pudding. Dave, I am a grump this time of year, Jeebus the God says. Yeah, I can't blame you. A lot of people are being stressed out. Like, again, with and I'm sorry to keep using that term because we have a particular freak out there that uses it way too often. Regardless, 2020 has been extremely stressful and everything that came in it. So that alone is weighing down on many people. But on top of that, there are those situations, again, that can even be just a reminder of perhaps happier times in the past. And who knows? Perhaps it reminds them of a sad time in the past. Regardless, yes, many people do feel exactly the same as you. And it's hard to address, what you can do about that. But, yeah, I mean, it's a challenge, and, you're not the only one who thinks that way. So, but I do believe that Thanksgiving is a time that, you can take that opportunity at least to just try to consider what is what you have in your life, and what you have to be grateful for and thankful, and it's just a time of reflection, especially the holiday season, which this just further ushers in. And essentially it's just a matter of weeks before Christmas. So yeah, this essentially brings in that time of year where it is that time that we should be good to our fellow man. And it goes back to ancient times, a reminder of now the bleak winter that we face, and that we all face it together. So we should be grateful for what we have, even if it's very little, and just open your heart and your hands to those perhaps that might need it. And let's see here, we've got Jeebus the God says, Dave, do you believe in mental health or brain injuries? Of course, both are documented. Jeebus the God says, it's the worst and bad timing if you lose someone this time of year. Exactly. That's another thing that I was just referring to, is that this can be a reminder of bad things to people. So it's just one of those times that if you're facing some depression and you see others extremely happy, that could trigger things further. And that's why some people are Scrooges during Christmas. So just keep that in mind when it comes to the way some people are during this time of year. And that understanding might at least allow you to see where they're coming from. So, we have about 12 viewers right now, and we've been going for about 2 hours and 16 minutes. Last episode we did, which was our first episode of Pilot, if you would wish to call it that, went for about 3 hours and 15 minutes. The initial intention was to cut it off at 3, but eventually some more topics got discussed. However, I think we've covered just about everything for this episode, but I'm more than willing to take a few more calls if anyone is up for that and would like to share something in regards to Thanksgiving, recipes, their own experiences, and we can hear from you, and then we can wrap it up. But if we don't hear from anyone, I'd say in the next 5-10 minutes, maybe 15, we're just going to close up the show. I have my pork chops all brined and marinated, ready to go. And I'm going to be making some mashed potatoes. And I've got some applesauce to go with that. And I think I'm going to make I'm still deciding whether to make a green salad or make a, I think I'll make a dill and cucumber salad. Got a lot of dill recently, and I got to use that before it goes bad. So I'm going to make, and that goes great with a little bit of sour cream, some lemon juice, salt, and yeah, that's it, really. That's all you need. Very simple. And I think I might include that in my upcoming recipe book for the community cookbook. Jeebus the God says, Dave, some people don't believe in Christmas because it's commercialized. Do you still buy gifts? Sometimes. Yeah, I guess I buy small gifts. Because I don't need to, to spend a lot. The people that I would be giving these small gifts to just, appreciate me for who I am, and appreciate, when I attend, gatherings or dinners and stuff. Because again, I'm literally out in the middle of nowhere almost. So, it's even harder now. Before it was difficult, but now it's even harder for me to get out to anywhere, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I do like the country life. A lot of rednecks and pickup trucks, and I like that. But and country girls, I do like that. But yeah, when traveling to the cities and stuff. I do, if I attend a party, might provide wine to the host. If we got a friend or family member, haven't seen in a bit, might give them a little trinket or something, or gift certificate. Gift certificates are great. I don't know why people shit on them. You literally give somebody something that they can not only use, but then reuse, and then fill up, on the card again or something. Cash always is good, and that's not gaudy. I don't think so. Even something like baking cookies, I've done in the past because I've known people they're like, I don't want a gift. Okay, fine. But I know that they like the cookies that I make. So I make those cookies, and I make it up all nice. I go to the craft store, like the dollar store. I get a little basket, and again, you'll end up spending maybe $5 or something. But you literally decorate this thing. You put the cookies in the basket, then you wrap it up in that cellophane sort of stuff, and then you put a ribbon on there, and then you get a little card or something, and you present it to them, and they love it. It's the small things. It's the small things that are appreciated by those that appreciate you. You don't have to go and literally buy them, season tickets to some basketball team. You could literally make them something on your own. And if they appreciate you, they'll appreciate that. It doesn't need a price tag to be priceless. In fact, usually it's the opposite. Usually the most priceless things don't have a price tag. They carry weight in value through feeling and meaning. But I will have to agree that Christmas has been quite commercialized, but it's been commercialized for a long time. A long time. I mean, I'd say the 1930s when we really saw that upkick in Christmas commercialization. Because that's when you had Coca-Cola rebrand Santa into the guy that we know today, with those clothes and all that look and all that. Then you had all those movies that came out, and even things like Rudolph. Most of the kids today don't even know that Rudolph is just they just try to staple him on the whole story, The Night Before Christmas, that was written 1908, I think, or something. Or 28, I don't remember. I think there was an 8 in there. Regardless, no Rudolph. Rudolph was an invention of this Wall Street fucking execs of the 60s. Late 50s, 60s. It's that whole Mad Men type thing. And they, put that in there and added that in. So that was another addition to the whole Christmas Legend and stuff. And you saw the claymation animations of the 50s and 60s. Frosty the Snowman. There was another one. There's a few of them, but regardless. So yeah, Christmas has been commercialized for quite some time, but you don't necessarily have to fall to that. Although we are constantly reminded of it. Why? Because literally as soon as Halloween is done, at least here in Canada, I'm guessing it's a little bit more delayed in America, where right after Thanksgiving, you're now hearing Christmas songs on the radio. And it just doesn't stop. And it's forever. And every shop you go into, it's there. So, yes, it is overly commercialized. Let's see here. Dave, did Coca-Cola invent Santa? No, St. Nicholas existed previously and was being used in certain, certain promotions of Christmas and so forth. But again, just look up Coca-Cola Santa, and that's the one that seems to have been mostly adopted as the Santa that is featured in all sorts of media. Fucking mall Santas, animations, movies, all that seems to have stemmed from that change, what Coca-Cola did. So I think we're gonna end it there. I gotta go make the rest of my meal. So it was very nice of all of you to join me, and I do appreciate all your input and comments. So be sure to like this video if you already haven't, or dislike it if you didn't like it, and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And we'll probably cover the Thanksgiving aftermath next week, just to hear perhaps some stories of what some might have experienced, and learn perhaps how much weight they gained, or what fights they had with their family, or maybe what an enjoyable time they did have. That being said, I am your host, Devious Dave Rose. You have been tuned into Too Many Chefs, Episode 2, Thanksgiving Dinner. Thank you for joining us. I hope you all have a great day and a wonderful Thanksgiving.